Hello, Greg from Balloon Market here, and welcome to BMTV Balloon Basics. We are joined by Mark Drury from Latex. Mark, thank you for coming in.
Great to be here.
And today, Mark is going to show us a very simple, well, a few techniques, aren't you?
Couple.
On how to cover poles. So Mark, over to you.
Fantastic. So there's lots more people getting into decoration, outdoor framing, using organic, and there's lots of different solutions for your poles and bases, and your aluminium rod and your conduit. But basically, you really want to have it covered for two reasons. One is to have the same base colour as the work that you're doing, so it becomes invisible, your mechanics are hidden. But other than that, you really want to protect the necks of the balloons, so you get the longest lasting balloons you can get.
Okay.
So there's a few different techniques. I've started with some pre-inflated 260Qs, and there's just a small soft bubble there.
Okay.
If you can get away with it, I've knotted these so that we can pre-prepare them and put them on the side. If you can get away without knotting them, it'll be even better and even neater.
Okay.
So we're just going to take our pole that we've got here, or our conduit, or aluminium rod, or whatever you're covering. We're going to wrap the neck around and hold on to that, and then we're going to use our hand to take the inflated part of the balloon and actually cover where we've just done.
So you don't need to tie a knot in it?
No, we're just squeezing the air out. Excuse the sound, but you can see by rotating that down, you start to cover all the way to the end.
So you've obviously done this before, so you're doing that quite quickly.
I have seen people do it a lot quicker than I do.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't do a phenomenal amount of framing work and so on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
So, working directly for Pioneer, I'm out seeing customers. But the people that do this a lot do a lovely, neat job and work really, really quickly.
The thing is, it doesn't matter, I guess, if it's not absolutely perfect.
It's not. You don't want it to see any metal.
Yeah.
But you are not going to see this, really.
Because I can see there's some air. It looks like it's air. Is that air?
So that's where I've not fully squoze it out.
Squoze?
Squoze.
Is that a word?
Squoze, I'm not sure.
It is now.
It is now.
Yeah.
Smart word.
Squoze. Okay, you're not fully squoze it out.
So...
Sorry, I don't mean to distract you, but...
Oh, you love distracting me, be honest.
I know, but carry on. I have distracted you, carry on.
So that's a technique. Obviously, with a long pole like this, it's quicker if we don't use a 260Q.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let that go.
Okay.
All the way to the end. And that's what happens if you do let go, by the way.
So if you were to say you decided you weren't quite happy with it, you wouldn't really be able to use that again, would you?
No.
Or could you? No.
Okay, so what I'm going to do on this occasion, I'm going to use the 350Q, and exactly the same way, I'm going to wrap around to start with, and then wrap that around. Now this time I've got the width of the 350 there.
Yeah.
So that every time that I wrap that around, it's covering more.
Yeah, so it's going further up the pole faster. And if you try and keep that straight onto the pole, then you will cover the whole thing a bit quicker. So this sort of thing is it's just about practice, as so many techniques are. So you get faster and faster at that.
One thing that most people do when they first do this is they put too much air in the balloon. I have seen demonstrations where the balloon's nearly fully inflated before the start. Obviously that's going to be a lot harder to do.
So you just need a tiny little bit of air in.
Tiny little bit of air in, enough to get the width of the balloon, and that's it.
Okay.
So once you get to the end, if you put a small snip in and then wrap that around, you can continue with your next balloon by dropping that under your thumb and just going back over where you've just started from, and you have a relatively neat...
So once again, still no knots,
Still no knots needed.
But you're just going the opposite direction, is that right?
Oh, just going in the opposite direction on this cut time, and you do end up with a small bit of additional latex here, but that's fine. So those are that's using a 260 and using a 350 to do that.
Yeah.
When you come and you finish the end and you want to secure that off, you let the air out, and then you can wrap that round, and you can actually create a knot by just holding that up and tucking the end through and create your knot to finish, and that's enough to stop it unraveling.
Yeah. So once again, most of this is going to be unseen really, because there are going to be balloons in front of it, but what bits you do see will be one of the colours that you're using. And again, it's as we talk about a lot, it's about adding value, isn't it? Because that just puts you above the competition that might not spend the few pennies it costs to do that.
It's about the magic
time
of the finished design.
Yeah.
If you can't see how something's made, you're adding value.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, there is no better other material for a balloon to be tied onto. The friction between two balloons when they're inflated is very, very low.
Yeah.
And because of that, the balloons will last a long time.
Okay.
If you compare that with the friction between a piece of metal and a balloon, then the likelihood that you're going to have any failures in wind or in outdoor conditions, or with people brushing against it and moving it, or even installing it, is greatly reduced.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So those are two methods. There is a third method that you can use for a pole. So I just need to undo this one. There we go.
And that's, I mean, there is another way. I guess you could use gaffer tape if you wanted to, but of course taking gaffer tape off something like that would...
Very difficult to get the colours that you're going to need.
True.
But also you're going to end up with your pole covered
very sticky,
in a really sticky situation. So on this occasion, I'll drop my pole and base up there. On this occasion, we're going to use 646.
Uh-huh.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take the end off. Drop that over the top. And we're actually going to pull this all the way down.
So why would you take the end off there when you could just put the balloon on it?
Most of the time, you're going to have a need to put an extra pole in the end.
Oh, of course, yeah. Okay, makes sense.
Or you might even not take the end off, but then hope that it was secured on the end of the balloon there. Well, we're going to stretch this down quite a long way, and if we don't secure this off with a little bit of 160, and you were to leave the end and hope that the end was going to hold it on, there's a chance that the end would wear through on the end of the metal, a bit of rough metal, and then you would lose your covering over a period of time.
Yeah, I see. So have you intentionally used a different colour there?
I have intentionally used a different colour so you can see what I'm doing.
Okay.
Okay, so you can see you can pull this all the way down.
Wow, that's really, really, really stretchy.
If you get to the feeling that your fingers are going to break the balloon at the bottom, just use a bit. Oh, pulled it too far. I can cover that later. You can use a bit of tension to pull it down a bit further, and then secure off at the bottom.
So what happened there at the top? Was it just not tied on tight enough?
I pulled too much. And again, if you bind, it's the same as binding a deco bubble. The more times that you bind around, the more friction that you put on there, the stronger it will be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the annoying thing, is that you know, in that situation, I didn't really need to pull it down any further. I was just showing the technique that you can. Yeah. But I'm going to have to on this next one, because we're going to extend it now.
Okay.
So I'll drop this to the floor.
Yep.
And then we'll extend it to the double pole. So by screwing the pole in the top. These poles were available. We're struggling to get hold of them at the moment from the existing manufacturer. But the base sort of concept of this pole is electrical conduit pole. Mm-hmm. They come in 3 metre lengths, and they're not particularly that expensive. So if anybody's struggling to get hold of them, you could always cut down some electrical conduit.
Yeah.
So we're really going to have to stretch this to get it over that full distance. You can pre-inflate the balloon to make this job a little easier for you.
Yeah.
But for me, you don't get as nice a finish. The balloon is a little more relaxed and it doesn't hug the pole in the same way. So once that's on, I prefer to use this technique and have it nice tight on the thing. We'll bind it properly this time because we're going to do a lot of stretch on there. Let's uncover that. But in particular with organic work where you're using lots of really strong colours, and it's the round balloons, the roundness of those Qualitex balloons showing the design. That's the bit that makes the magic of organic work.
Yeah.
If you can see a vertical pole through the centre of it, it's potentially a problem. So you can see now how I'm stretching that all the way.
Yeah.
And rather than stretching it in one place, taking that all the way down to where we were previously. And then I can just secure that off with another bit of inflated 160.
So you've just pulled that bit of balloon up.
Yeah.
That was down there.
Where it was previously. Obviously these 160s should be the same colour.
Yeah.
But then you wouldn't see the binding.
So the binding is the whole concept that you've shown before.
Yeah.
That you keep it stretched as you're going around, and then when you let go, it grips more.
Exactly. But then you get left with a really nice
I have to
finish.
say, just holding that almost feels like it's part of the pole.
Yeah,
that's
and it
a
doesn't,
really nice finish.
because we didn't inflate it, it doesn't move around the pole too much.
No, that's fantastic. So, there you go. How to cover your poles. Mark, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Greg.